Red Cross, everybody. Here's your blanket. Oh no, it's for people with bad water. Oh no, you gotta give it to somebody else. That sickens me. That's not what their job is. Their job is to help anybody. We even tried to put our water truck in the parade, the 4th of July parade. So when we went to get the document to fill out to do it, Vera got charged with 6 felonies because she had her camera on her chest. We weren't in any sensitive area. We were there to get it. The lawyer waited 364 days and filed 6 felonies against for wiretapping, eavesdropping. She's still able to get charged with that if she crosses within 100 feet of their distance of their location. So this sickens me that you can't even put our water truck in. There was nothing controversial. If you need help with your water, please call this number. That's it, to deliver water to people. That was our whole message. They wouldn't let the truck be put in the parade.
Last question, and this is just, I know that you told me there's 4, I think it was 4 kinds of pollution, from radioactivity to the biocides,
right,
to the methane itself,
right,
to the silica in the air.
right.
So if you can just break down in 1 minute how the industry is poisoning people the 4 different ways.
Well, it's the food supply too.
Okay, then start from doing all 5.
First thing when I moved here, the farmer, the family up the road put a well within a mile from me on their property, the Depews, and I called Ag, and Pennsylvania Ag, and I said, hey, their cows are right on the outside, just like you saw at the Smith farm today. Cows are there, the chickens are there, the pigs are there, the horses are there. And you go, have you ever tested these animals that are right on the site? Why would we do that? That was their answer. My family, property I live on, I'm not a dairy farmer, but the 5 generations before me that lived there were dairy farmers. They had a 500-acre working dairy farm. Well, that's the first question you'd ask. So, if you're buying milk from Pennsylvania, which by the way, Chobani yogurt is in New York, and they buy the milk from here. They don't test it for that. Milk is tested for what race here? They only test milk for bacteria and whatever. But so food supply is done for. Nobody hunts around here anymore because all these animals look with glossy eyes and wasted looking stuff. The trees are gone. Look at the trees here. These were living trees near my house and everything. They're all dead. So that's the airborne stuff. There's stuff floating around the air. EPA did air quality for all the counties of the United States. And if you look over here in Pennsylvania and you look at Philadelphia, of course it's like yellow, ooh, bad, and in Pittsburgh, bad. We have the same or worse air quality than Pittsburgh and Philadelphia up here in the middle of nowhere, where before it was dairy farms and quarries, so we didn't have air quality issues here. But when they come in, you saw the compressor blowing. That's the only place we've ever seen one well pad have one single compressor on it. Is that one today on the LaRue pad right there? They usually put a big compressor station or a little tiny, but not that big fan thing that's blowing. All that's flying out of that is BTEX. Benzene, toluene, ethylene, xylene, that's all what's blowing out of that. And the DP knows it. You know, most of these guys go over, they have to file something that say, we'll put out this much a year, we believe. That's what our stack test and modeling do. And then they fire up, and then in a month they've already exceeded what they said they were going to do.
And the other, just the kinds
radiation. Okay.
So let me ask you the question, you answer organically. What are the kinds of pollution that the fracking industry is putting into the environment here?
Well, the process itself, the frac sand, floats everywhere. It doesn't just stay on the pad, and that's silicosis of the lungs, silica dust. So that, we've actually found them doing that next to daycare centers, where the frac sand is all over where they're playing. So there's that. There's just the equipment and the things they use. The truck traffic alone raises the level of exhaust, diesel exhaust, by 1,000-fold what it was before, because before you had milk trucks and you had quarry trucks. So that's bad. Traffic itself. Then you've got the noise pollution. What we want to put here on the research center is just a sound monitor at the top, because at 2 or 3 in the morning they'll fire off the compressor station to blow it down, they call it. It's a train whistle for an hour and a half between 2 and 3:30. There's nobody to call then. So there's sound pollution. You've got light pollution. When they put the rig near you, they're all lit up and they stay lit up all night long. So when we drove by the one you saw where the pad's right next to it, they had to black out their windows at the Carter's trailer because nobody could go to sleep. It was like daylight. It was like living in Alaska where the sun doesn't go down. So you have that. The radiation is really the compelling one, and that's where we believe this problem right here with the kids with leukemia. Leukemia is known to be caused by things where you're exposed to radioactive elements, depending on whatever it's in food, air, whatever. So there, we showed you the Eureka banner that was there. Eureka has 2 other plants where they're processing the flowback water to remove lithium for batteries and salt. You know where they're selling the salt? As pool salt to Lowe's, Walmart, and Home Depot. If you put a Geiger counter over the container, it'll peg the Geiger counter. They're selling pool salt made from flowback. Then they're also taking that residual water and they're spraying it on the roads. On the summer for dust control and ice control. Boy, it melts the ice really good because it's got uranium in it and barium and strontium, and so it'll melt it. So that, what do you think that is? You put it on the road and then it rains and it all washes off into the creeks and goes right to where? This is the Susquehanna River Basin right here. So what they won't do, and I'll leave it with this, first of all, what's in our water? What's in our public water?
Battery just went.
Okay.
Let it go as long as it could.
Okay.
Public water, Vera filed a complaint with PAWC where I get my water from.
Yeah.
They won't answer. I asked them a simple question. Are you testing the water at the lake, Montrose, that I get my water for Ray and myself? Are you testing it for constituents of oil and gas like it's in a well pad area? You know what they told us? Get lost. I mean, so then we asked the second question. The water treatment system they're going to build right here, supposedly pipe it to all 27 families, are you going to test that? No. They're going to test it for regular federal drinking water standards, which have nothing to do with taking for thorium, barium, strontium, all this. So Vera filed a...
Is his audio, mic still recording?
So
Nope. Now everything's recording.
Yeah, so
We're
Vera,
back up on video.
yeah. So think about this.
Finish the answer. And
Yeah, so the Public Utility Commission, Vera filed a complaint. They will not answer the question as to why they're not testing the lake that's surrounded by 5 gas wells, multiple violations. They won't test the water for the things they would test. So Ray's testing that was done by the Attorney General here, that was $10,000 per test times 27 families. They spent $250,000 doing testing. If just one house is tested, that's a $20,000 test, 183 elements in it. There's stuff you couldn't even pronounce on there that's on there. So why am I bringing it up? So we asked a simple question. Here's their answer. Get lost. And that's the wrong thing to tell Vera Troggins and Craig Stevens. We don't get lost.
we cut out.
Yeah.
It's okay. We don't get
They're like,
lost. We get answers.
Are you starting it up again?
I am.
Okay, this is going to be the
Yeah.
very end. So tell me when you're ready.
All right, I'll let you know.
But basically, the bit that wasn't explained, I don't think at all today, was how the radioactivity would get into
Perfect
the water. And so I know you mentioned the drill bit, so wait until he's ready. And then we'll just get that one answered.
Yes.
Because that's pretty important to understand. People say, how does radioactivity get into this? So, you know, and then when they're spraying this salt on the road, the salt water, it's because they're using the water that's naturally coming up out of the well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how they find the gas. The drill bit is directional, and on the front of it is a radiation detector. The gas is the most radioactive part of the Earth at 8,500 feet down is the average here. Wait a minute. So they're drilling into the most radioactive spot. They pour water down it, so they mix the water with it, and the salts come back up. Now you got radioactive salty water that comes up. That's how Ray got cancer when he hauled the water. That's how Randy Moyer, 4 months exposed, full of barium. He went to Pennsylvania, they wouldn't test him for barium or lithium or strontium in his body, so he had to go to a clinic in Ohio or West Virginia and just pay them and say, test my blood for this. And they did. They looked at him and said, we don't know how you're standing. He could pull his molars out just by grabbing them like this. I mean, then stuff would swell up, like you can see his face is all swelled up. The problem was, either down here, he'd wake up and he could feel his throat closing, his mom would have to jam an airway into it or just seals up. So that's 4 months exposure. Ray will tell you they never warned anybody that you're being exposed to radioactive elements. Silica sand is 100 times more dangerous than asbestos because it's powdered glass you're breathing in. So in 5 years you get emphysema, not 30 or 40 years like you would if you worked in the shipyards. Right, they work when they're 20 or 30 and then they can't blow out their candles at 70 or 60. This is, you work at 30 years old and 5 years later you can't breathe.
What is the silica used for?
Silica is to proppant. So when they drill down and they drill, and they explode the shale to fracture it, then they send the water down with the sand that we brought, the silica sand. It's so tiny, that opens the pores. That is lodges in and keeps the pores open for it to flow. But if you Google it and watch them doing it, Vera went to 3 sites and filmed it and turned it into OSHA. The whole area looked like the Kashmir sandstorm going on, and you could see people working, no breathing gear on, no protective measure, no eye for it. I mean, it's going right into their body when they breathe. Ray, same thing. Ray was diagnosed with COPD, but when he went to a real doctor, they said, you have silicosis of the lungs. That will never be fixed because it's beaded glass being jammed into the lower part of your breathing. So Ray has oxygen tanks, he's got all this stuff he has to do. So there's the focus. The radioactivity comes up. It's so weird. The tanks used to be metal in the first 6 months they were here. They put metal tanks and the flow back comes up for 30 to 50 years. It flows back from the ground. And they force the water down there at 20,000 PSI. A lot comes up and then it just keeps seeping up and it goes into a tank and they have to come and check it. So the tanks were sitting there, and Vera would start doing tours and driving by. There's a metal tank where you can see it, and there's a hole the size of your thumb you can see with a rust stain all the way down the metal. It's eating through it. So you'll notice these are all polypropylene, 6-layer thick for putting really nasty chemicals in these things now. They're plastic, but they're a very special kind of plastic to hold it. So there it is. I mean, they know it's radioactive. Many states have banned them dumping in it, and they're doing injection wells. Wherever you live, they're doing an injection well and jamming it down near the water tank. Yeah, wherever you are. They go to New Mexico with this stuff. They go to New York, still accepts it. You know what they stopped accepting to the landfills in New Jersey was these trucks. They put radiation detectors on. So the truck would try to drive in and drop the solid waste, which is the stuff that comes up from the ground. It's full of radioactive elements. Nope, turn around, get out of here. They won't let them do it. It's so bad that Eureka, that you saw they were trying to build the treatment plant here, they clean the water, but they won't let it dump it. So what they're going to do is just dump it right in the creek that goes right behind Ray's house here. And they said, Vera was told. She went to the facility, and the CEO's got this glass of clean water there up on a shelf. Like, look, this just came out of the machine. And she goes, hey, show me the part where you open the valve on the machine. Drink it. No, you're not doing that. Because 5 whistleblowers just came forward and said, when they pull that water out of the machine, it's got oils and chemicals and all this stuff in it. And he was asked, would you drink it like the CEO says you can? Drink it. We don't even want to touch it. We don't want to breathe it in. They should be wearing full rebreathing gear when you're on a site when they're fracking because of that. So she files 3 complaints with the OSHA. And finally, the last one, they fined him $6,500. That's lunch money for a site. Literally, that's lunch money. So that's what we get. We call it and say, I think there's a law being violated. Ray will tell you every time they drive these trucks past here, they're violating things. They do heavy loads, all this stuff. So that's off the limits. But this is a constant pollution of all types, including radioactive elements, being thrown out into the air, the water, the food supply, and everything else. So if it's getting in the water here and going down the Susquehanna, what's on the Susquehanna River? Harrisburg, the capital. Are they testing the input there, the intake there? No, they're not testing it for radioactive elements. Why would we? Well, 3 Mile Island is just down the river slightly from there. So if it was upstream, they'd be testing that water for radioactivity every day. But because it's oil and gas and it might look bad for the industry, there's no way in hell they're going to go, oh God, you'd have to turn the water supply off if there was barium or strontium coming in at high levels to the entire 50,000 people that live in Harrisburg. What about Philly? What about Pittsburgh? 3 rivers come in and they're all poisoned. So there's your intake water supply. All we asked the question was, is the water we're getting from the lake and bringing to Ray's house and to my house that we're using for our own ingestion, is it safe? And they said, read our documentation. Vera found out they only test for radioactivity every 9 years. So we wanted to do it once a year, and they're fighting it. We're winning though. They already tried to throw Vera's case out. She had, lack of not jurisdiction, but so they tried to throw it out, but the judge let it stay in. So we may be forcing nationally these companies to have to actually test the water. If there's fracking going on in the state you live in, they should be testing at least once a year all public water supplies for this. They're refusing to do it. They sent a 40-page letter at Vera from Stevens Lee, a law firm, that said, cease and desist, shut up, go away. And we go, have we met? We're not going away anywhere until this question is answered, because your man's on the kids around here, you're going to tell them, yeah, your water stayed funny at your faucet from the public supply. No, it's not. They'll look at them and go, they really aren't testing it for your radium for every 9 years, so maybe if you glow in the dark, we'll know why. There's the key. So, yeah, all of it is poison. That's what they use to drill down in the ground. It's what comes up.
Yep.
It's super salty, which means they can't store it anywhere. And their response with the flowback is to inject it into the ground. Many communities try to fight it, and DEP sues the community for trying to fight them putting it in there. So we don't count on anybody except for ourselves. That's the key. That couple that was here, Jessica, I got their number a week and a half ago. She called me.
Let's cut this off, because every
Yeah, go
minute
ahead.
that these guys are gonna charge us overtime, it's gonna be
Done.
taken out of my paycheck.
This is all your documentation.
But,
We just went to triple time.
yeah,
Triple shit. This is
Okay,
all. This is all documentation for you.
you know,
I need extra copies.
how
That's incredible.
incredible
Those stories
information.
are-
I mean, this guy could go on and on. And the story about
Here's the
going
one
to
that's
the
been-
Capitol with the kids and making the governor, I mean, I wanted that on tape too.
That was amazing.
We don't have time, man. You
I
got-
guess you can't avoid